until I literally was about to, or I started my live. Bear with me. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I don't want to have to start my car because then it's gonna connect to my audio. Sending love, light, healing vibrations your way for whoever needs it, for whoever was guided to this message, for whoever is here, is present, has allowed themselves to connect. I am appreciative, and I hope that you receive what you need. Whatever resonates, please take it, and whatever doesn't, don't force it, you know. Maybe it's your message, maybe it's not, maybe it has yet to happen, maybe it's in the process, it's currently happening, or maybe it won't happen. It could be somebody near you, somebody around you, it could be you. Energy is very fluid, so Rich Rising, how are you? I pray you're well. What's so funny is I've taken a break for a lot of various reasons, just to get more grounded. Number one, dealing with stuff in real life, behind the scenes, as well as just making sure I stay rooted within God, and staying connected to the Most High always before anything else. So I had to kind of allow for time and space, I guess is my best way of putting it. There is a message that I have, and it's been kind of coming and going, but it's been weighing heavy on me lately. Maybe because it's something that I've been dealing with firsthand. It's something that I've seen, I've witnessed firsthand. And I know that there are plenty of others who have also, you know, been through this same situation or scenario or whatever you want to call it. Actually, when I started this video, it was 10:44 a.m. So 144 actually is a angel number of protection. So whoever is going through this currently, or whoever has been through this, or whoever is getting ready to go through this, like, just know that you will receive your protection. But it's very important to pay attention to signs, synchronicities. Certain things don't happen just out of coincidence. Certain things happen to reroute us, to get our attention. They're like nudges, whether they're loud nudges, quiet nudges, whispers from the universe that eventually turn into shouts from the universe, warnings, subliminals, like all these magical things, right? But the main thing is, I don't even want to talk about this, but it is what it is. 1 second for grounding. This might be a short video, and I'll probably be uploading or coming back for a couple more before today is over with. It just depends on what I get guided to do. I pray you are able to hear me clearly. Yeah, so we are in times where anything that is not rooted in God, it's going to reveal itself. It's going to fall away if you allow it to. Essentially, all you have to do is fall in line, right? Things happen often to get us into better alignment, realignment, or so we can pay attention, and protect ourselves to the best of our ability. Because, when you get warnings, anytime that there is smoke, essentially there's going to be fire. And you do not want to allow yourself to get burned by something that you could have prevented yourself from being involved in, right? When a person, place, or thing is not good for you, there will be things that happen, and it will either get your attention, or it will speak to you, it will shout at you, it will warn you of what is to come. Sometimes people are able to remove themselves, sometimes people fall victims to whatever their current reality is, and sometimes people get sucked into other people's realities. But everybody has free will. So, sleeping with the enemy, there is no easy way to put it. It's exactly what it sounds like. I have come across many spirits, many souls, sometimes kindred and like-minded souls, and sometimes complete opposite. People are so good at portraying something that is the furthest thing from truth. It's the furthest thing from actual reality, or they just cover up who they really are with masks. They pretend to be something that they're not in order to gain some kind of access, whether it's access to attention, access to connection, access to something to where they can gain from, it's a self-benefit, regardless of who gets caught in the crossfire, who gets hurt in the crossfire, who gets, who gets taken advantage of or manipulated in the crossfire. Some people, some souls, some spirits are really out for themselves, and they're really out to just hurt other people. They're really out to just take advantage of other people, and they're really out to just bring other people into their realities, or essentially drag them to hell, which is probably more than likely where they're going. I'm trying to relay this message to the best of my ability, so please bear with me. It's really no easy way of saying it. So, for example, I've dealt with so-called friends, or even family members, or even coworkers, or even romantic interests, right? And they can come off one way, and then behind closed doors or behind their mask, there's something totally different. For example, I would say my last romantic interest, I was literally sleeping with the enemy. And it took me, I met this person in 2021, right before my father passed. So, I thought this is somebody that was supposed to be in my life. I actually had a dream before they came into my world. But certain things, because my intuition was kind of off, or it was foggy, or I just was ignoring it, I wasn't paying attention to it, because sometimes that happens when you get involved with people, places, and things. You want to give the benefit of the doubt, or you want to just look at the bright side, because I often can see, it's like a double-edged sword. I can see through illusions, but I can also sometimes see the good in people, right? The good that's barely holding on, or the good that's not even there. The innocence of their soul that probably wanted to maintain and stick around and stay there, but the reality of it is who they currently and presently are now. They're so far gone from that. So, I was dealing with somebody that I met in 2021. I met this person right before my father passed. And this person had me on an emotional roller coaster. I would say I was content before I met them, but I wasn't really disciplined on my path the way I should have been. So from, let's say, mid-year of 2021 up until maybe April of 2023, so let's say on and off maybe 2 years, something just made me go cold turkey with cutting off communication. And I feel like for the specific reasons of getting tired of being in the energy of sadness, of confusion, and of just crying about shit that had nothing to do with me, but because I was intertwined with this enemy that I was essentially, sleeping with and dealing with, or I welcomed into my world naively. I took on their energy, and I was sitting in the reality of their darkness, because I know my demons. I know my shortcomings. I know my flaws. I know everything that I'm working on that makes me who I am today. I'm a sinner, just like the next person, but I feel what differentiates me from the next person is I don't intentionally try to hurt people. And for anyone that I have hurted in the crossfire, in my adolescence, or even in more of my enlightened stage of being, I pray for forgiveness on my end as well as their end. But I was sleeping with the enemy, and something made me go cold turkey. And then for some reason, I reached out to this enemy. I would say, let's just say the middle of, maybe sometime the middle of last year. So this was 2025, because we're in 2026 now. And then I finalized, like, just closing that door, closing that chapter, and just keeping my head high with moving forward. I would say around Christmas. But it took a cool minute to clear it out of my system, because even now I feel the energies of just when a spirit and a soul latches on and they don't want to let go. So you have to continuously remain grounded and rooted and just planted and being in the present. And you have to spend plenty of time alone, so you can understand what is of God, what is not of God, what is your energy, what is not your energy, what's going on, what's happening. You have to do a lot of self homework in order to know who you are, and you have to do a lot of self-healing, and you have to be able to hold yourself accountable. You have to be able to practice forgiveness, because this is a way of love. This is love, and you're doing it for yourself first before anything can manifest or come into your physical world. You have to do all these things spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. And it's not a walk in the park. It's easier said than done, but the more you work on it, the more you get better with it, the more you are, just honest with yourself, and honest with holding yourself accountable, and honest with, just being serious about wanting to do better, live better, get better, have a better life. These things will be granted to you. So for anyone who, and that wasn't the only person, but I know for a fact, that person specifically, they were not sent by God. There was another person who I also dealt with shortly after cutting that person out, and I try to narrow it down so I can just focus on the main, I would say, turning points in my life, and just receiving the enlightenment and the redirection needed to allow me to become more wiser, receiving more serenity, and receiving more courage to do whatever has been asked of me and whatever has been guided for me to do, which is first and foremost, always give thanks to God and to take care of myself and to protect myself in the process. This other person, getting back to it, so aside from the first person, which was an enemy that I was sleeping with, this other person was no different. They portrayed something that wasn't true. They covered up, being a genuine soul, which in reality they were very corrupt. They were very dark. They are essentially a dark worker, but pretending to be, authentic and pretending to be whole when in reality they were broken. And that enemy also allowed me to regain strength and wisdom and just better my connection with God. I feel like for these two specific enemies, it wasn't even like I made an enemy out of them, but people get placed on assignments, right? To just do and be whatever they're supposed to do and be in this lifetime. And sometimes it's not always of the highest possible good. Sometimes it's not always of the light. Sometimes it's not always of, a better cause. But anything that is sent to destroy you, anything that is sent to take you out of alignment, anything that is sent to test your connection to spirit, to God, God is going to always turn around and use it for the greater good. That's just the way it works when you are in a relationship and in a connection with spirit. So the second person, I feel they redirected me to God, which essentially redirected me back to myself. But had I stayed in connections or even in these very unhealthy, toxic relationships, whether it was platonic, because it wasn't so much about even being in a full-on committed relationship. It's just anytime you have a connection or you have any kind of relation to something that is not positive, you are going to feel the emotions. And I'm just thankful that God protected me throughout it all, because with the first person, I hated the way I felt about them. And I just had to keep practicing forgiveness, and then I had to be real with myself and ask myself, why do I keep allowing myself to go through certain things when certain things have been revealed for me to have the free will to do better, to choose better, to move better, to just live better. Because it's not even about, love is not about a romantic relationship. That's not all it's about. It's about loving yourself first and treating others and doing unto others what you would like done unto you, which is why I feel this world is so messed up. There's so many demons walking amongst us as well as angels. There's so many, messed up situations and unhealthy situations as well as positive situations. But sometimes the darkness, it seems like it outweighs the light, when in reality, light is all around. You just have to choose to turn on the light, and you have to tell those demons, you have to put them in place, you have to cast them out, and you have to tell them to leave. Because they can only stay where they can get comfortable. Which is why growth doesn't come from being comfortable. You have to get uncomfortable. For those, whoever this will make sense to, you will understand it. And this second enemy, right? I hated the way that they treated me. That's just, and I'm not a person who likes to even use that word loosely, but I had to understand, even to feel those emotions, it was not of God. So I had to, again, hold myself accountable. I had to practice forgiveness. I have to practice loving myself. I had to practice, just doing better and taking better of my vessel and taking better care of my spirit, of my soul, and just knowing that I could have went down the rabbit hole, and I could have been stuck in misery with these self-proclaimed enemies, because it wasn't about me making an enemy out of them. It was about them coming into my life and portraying something, but behind closed doors, their antics are very, it's rude, it's cruel, it's manipulative, it's very tormenting, it's very emotionally abusing, mentally abusing, spiritually abusing, and it ties into physical. There are a lot of people who go through heartbreak, they end up with cancer. And because they did not, or they didn't know, or they just did not address the root of their problem. And I feel a lot of people, we fall short sometimes with accountability. Some people have it, some people don't. But again, going back to sleeping with the enemy, some people don't make it out. Some people end up dead. There are things happening every day, every second, every minute of every hour, even certain things, to try not to click on all this stuff, because just the titles alone can be overwhelming. People end up in relationships with someone that they were never meant to be with. They're having connections, or they're having partnerships with unequally yoked people, and it's like something in that connection, the seed gets planted, and then it turns into so many other things at once: jealousy, control, obsession, abuse, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, just wanting to rule over somebody else's spirit, dominate them, make them feel inferior to you, or make yourself be superior to them. Like, none of that stuff is of love. None of that stuff is of any highest possible good. It can drain you of your mind, your body, and your soul, your vitality. Usually when people are involved with something that they have no business being involved with, or they're doing stuff that they have no business doing, sometimes you can tell their physical body. They will look older than they actually are, or you start to become drained of your energy. I've seen so many people, if you pay attention to pictures, and even eyes are the gateway to the soul. You pay attention to a photo, somebody can be smiling, right? They're trying to portray that they're happy, but in reality, you look at their eyes tell you a different story. Their eyes paint a different picture. Their eyes are telling you something is wrong. So I don't know, I was just guided to share this message to anybody, again, who has been through this, who's going through this, who has yet to go through this, or who may never go through this. Just be wary, stay prayed up, pay attention to the signs, pay attention to how you're feeling. If you feel uncomfortable, if you feel drained, more than likely it's not of God. If you feel happy, you feel energized, you feel at peace, go for it. But don't allow yourself to end up in a situation in which, if you allow all the red flags and all the signs and all the toxic things to just, pass you by, or you don't take it serious, or you're dismissive to it, or you just don't pay attention to the warnings, you can get to a point where, once you get so deep in a rabbit hole, you can't get yourself out, because we're the problem, the cause, and the solution. The same way God allows you to get yourself into a situation with free will, he's going to allow you to get yourself out. But if you don't pay attention, sometimes you might not be able to make it out. You might not be able to make it out alive. You might not be able to make it out untouched, unharmed. You might not be able to make it out in one piece. You might not be able to make it out, untainted, because there are a lot of souls that do get tainted. Sometimes we get so desperate for romanticism. I hope I'm saying that word correctly. We get so desperate for a relationship. We get so desperate for wanting to be held, wanting to be loved, wanting to be, admired, wanting to be taken care of, like all these worldly things. And it starts with you, because if you give away your magic, you give away your vitality, you give away your free will, you have nobody else to be mad at other than yourself. So just take care of yourself to the best of your ability. Make sure you are paying attention to the signs that come your way. Make sure you're paying attention to your body. Drink plenty of water. Tea, hot tea is great. Get out in nature, go be by water, go be around flowers or trees, listen to the birds chirp. Like, these things they cost nothing. And sometimes the most simplest things in life are the things that are going to fulfill you more and better than a so-called friend or a so-called lover or a so-called, person that you can trust, because things change all the time. The world is constantly changing. People are constantly changing. You may think you know somebody today. By tomorrow morning, they're a completely different person. So, I don't know. The things that have been coming to me, sometimes it's very surreal. Uh, the information can be very overwhelming. Uh, and usually there's not much you can do other than make sure you are staying prayed up, you're staying disciplined, you're staying, guarded with your emotions, your thoughts, which you are listening to, which you're feeding yourself, what you're eating, which you are entertaining, what you are allowing around you, because bad company corrupts good morals. If you want to be different, if you want to live differently, if you want better, you have to be serious about that, and you have to be willing to take the steps and do whatever is asked of you by spirit. And sometimes the most healthiest and most important things for you to do for yourself are not always the easiest. So keep grace for yourself, and just know that on a path of living better, on a path of just getting more discipline, on a path of just protecting yourself from self-proclaimed enemies and from things that are going to come your way to try to take you out of alignment and to try to deceive you and to try to, take over you, essentially. um, Other good things can come as well, but you have to spend enough time alone. You have to spend enough time in solitude. You have to spend enough time doing homework on yourself to know what is and what is not. Because it's very easy in these day and ages and these times to get deceived by something that appears to be something that it's not. Everything that glitters is not gold. Um, do not follow a trend. Do not follow any societal norms. Do not follow what is happening on social media. Do not follow what's happening in videos. You have to pay attention to your mind, your body, and your soul. What is good for the next person may not be good for you. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, I hope this message reaches whoever it's meant to find in due time. And just keep grace for yourself, keep forgiveness for yourself, and keep loving yourself. Even if things have happened or you've done things that you aren't totally proud of, just know we're all sinners. We are all on some kind of path, some kind of journey. And you don't even have to carry no ill will, no malice, no hatred, no lower vibrational feelings or emotions towards even the self-proclaimed enemy that was sent into your life, because um, usually people are a reflection of their own inner world. And for people who come to kill, steal, and destroy, they have no peace. So when they come into your reality, into your world, they're trying to corrupt whatever you have going on. And you don't have to entertain it. You do not have to put up with it. And you don't have to do anything. I've found out that the best thing that you can do sometimes is just remove yourself and don't even respond to those kind of energies, because the Most High is always going to rule. The Most High is always going to have vengeance. The Most High is always going to take care of it, especially when you've decided to answer your calling or be obedient to what is asked of you by Spirit. 2929. Somebody needs to look up that angel number. Just know you're not alone. We're all here. We're all going through many different situations, many different scenarios, but we're all connected by one spirit, and we're all in many different parts of the world. So just know, even if you feel like you've been going through silent battles, We all are going through something, and I pray that your trials and tribulations have made you wiser. I pray that you've gained peace. I pray that you've gained wisdom, strength, serenity, and also better ways on protecting yourself, because the higher you elevate, essentially, is basically new levels, new devils. And when lower vibrations and demons and entities of no highest possible good, like when they realize that they can't touch you, they start to touch things around you. That's people, places, and things. Please do not lose your life to foolishness. Do not lose your life to somebody who they've already known for a while now where they're going. You do not have to go there with them. You do not have to sit in darkness with the next person. You do not have to stay in misery. If you don't want to live that way, you have free will to decide to be better, do better. Sending you lots of love, healing vibrations. Thank you for tuning in. I pray that you receive whatever words you needed. I pray that this message was clear and concise to the best of my ability. And again, thank you for being here. Thank you for just being open to connecting. Namaste.